Hello. Welcome to or back to my channel, and my kitty cat says hello too. My name is Angel. Have you been here before? Oh, holy moly. Welcome all to this space. It's lovely to have you here. So what are we doing today? Today we are doing hashtag to Candy at Candy Soul on Soil. Decks meet collections. Ooh! I'm quite excited. I don't know if you're going to think this is a collection. I personally don't think this is a collection. My friend totally thinks that this is a major collection that I have in my life. What am I talking about? Let's get into it and I'll explain. So what is it that I collect? I collect trainers or sneakers, depending where you come from. All the sizes, all the colours, all the styles, all the makes. I love them all. I can't help myself. I think I've probably got about 28 pairs of trainers. Is that a collection? I don't think it's a collection. I think it's a dependency. Let me explain. Now, I do wear trainers as part of my work. It's like part of my uniform. I'm a lifeguard, and I also teach water aerobics, and I also still teach some gym classes as well. So I do have trainers or sneakers for that reason. However, I do purchase quite a lot of sneakers because I love them. I love the different varieties, and they're comfy and they're colourful, and what can I say? I just love them. I love them in all different patterns and and styles and all the good stuff. There are some that I have here with me at home, and there are others that I have at work or at the gym. So I've taken pictures of some of the styles I've got to show you, and I'm going to compare the style of trainer with my decks in my collection. Let's get this on the road. So the first set of trainers, or the first trainer, because I've only got one in my hand, the other one's on the shelf. These are my work trainers. I love them. I love the colours, and you'll notice that I don't tend to tie my laces. I have my laces like this so I can slip my shoes on and off very, very quickly, which is very handy working at the poolside. Yes, so they're very easy. These are a workhorse shoe for me. They are very comfy. They fit beautifully. They fit like a glove. So which deck reminds me of those trainers? It would be the Rainbow Moon Tarot, of course. I love this deck. This is a deck that sits beside my bed and I pull cards in the evening. Why did I compare it to those trainers? Well, I'm going to say definitely the colour palette first and foremost. However, this is a workhorse deck for me. I can pull it out whenever, and it just makes sense to me. I don't need to really think about the messages that are coming through. It just totally makes sense. So as you can see, these are beautiful. They totally remind me of the trainers. I'm going to say we get an allocation for purchasing a pair of trainers a year, and my colleagues always purchase grey or black, and I'm the only one that has really colourful trainers on by the poolside, because I love me some colour. And this is why I love this deck. I purchased this one quite a while ago now, and I just got a bit of an idea that I wanted it in my collection. Didn't have any expectations for it, and then I got it in, and it was amazing. It was such an easy reader. It was good for any kind of reading that I wanted to do, and because of that, it sits by my bed. So I don't show this one very often because it is always by my bedside, and I'd never think about bringing it forward for videos. This is the only deck that I have a second copy of. I stumbled upon the indie version of this deck, the Marble Moon Tarot, I think it's called, on eBay for a fantastic price, and I purchased a second copy because I wanted it. And here it is. I'm going to show you the indie version very, very quickly. These ones are edged in lime green. These are the backs, and it's called the Marble Moon Tarot. I think I said that. And the cards are the same. So yeah, I love it. L-O-V-E, love it. Next trainers, next deck. Let's get to it. So the next set of trainers I'm going to show you is a set of trainers that are still at work. So they're still in my locker at work, so I'm going to pop a picture in here for you. As you'll see, these are black and white beauties. These are Reebok trainers. I originally purchased these for dance classes that I was teaching, and they are super, super comfy, super, super soft. Love the funky pattern on them. Even though they're black and white, they just speak to me of being a little bit bizarre and a little bit weird and like a bit funky. Which deck reminds me of these trainers? Well, it's funny you should ask. That's got to be the Morgan's Tarot. I wouldn't say it's a tarot. I think it's more of an oracle deck. This is balmy. It's bonkers. It's wacky. I haven't edged mine. It's bizarre. It doesn't particularly make any sense, but that's why I like it, because it kind of throws you a bit of a curveball. And that's what those trainers do, actually. They throw me a bit of a curveball. I don't tend to be, black and white patterned kind of person, but I saw the trainers and I was like, I need to own those beauties, and so glad I did purchase them because they are very comfy and they do the job. Now, I kind of thought about this deck because, it is a bit of a wacky deck. It's quite, not quite simple with its art style, but like, obviously there is no colour, it's black and white, it does what it says on the tin. It's just, it's a bit bonkers, and I love it for that. Does it make much sense when I use this for a reading? Not always, but things don't always need to make sense, do they? Sometimes the meaning and the messages comes in reflection, or at a later date, and that's all good. So there we have it. Black and white funky Reebok trainers and the Morgan's Tarot. So following on the same theme, these are another set of trainers that I have in my locker. Also Reebok, also used for my dance classes. I just adore these trainers. Check out the colours, check out the pattern. It's like, grr. Yeah, it's just amazing, amazing. And which deck did I choose? Or which deck reminded me of those trainers? That's got to be this one. This is the Venice Witch Oracle. This is a French deck, but I believe, don't quote me, that it's coming out in English. As mentioned, don't quote me. And I totally chose this deck because of the colour palette. This reminds me of those trainers. Here's a picture one more time, just as a reminder. So, for no other reason than the colour palette. Now, I've spoken about this deck before. I used this in January of this year, I believe, and I used it with the Crystal Tarot, I think it's called, Magical Crystal Tarot, and also with a second French deck called the Oracle of Whispers. Loved it. Wasn't a big fan of the guidebook for this deck. I felt it left me a bit like, I wanted a bit more. I wanted a bit more depth. But I'm going to say that I find this deck really intuitive. And I like it so much that I purchased the Shadow edition of this deck as well, which have very similar backs, and obviously, the same art style. I really enjoy it. And I mean, colour just lights me up. It floats my boat. It lights my candle. Feeds my soul. What can I say? What can I say? Did I show you the edges? Look at this. This came edged pink out of the box. Hello. What's not to like? So there we have it. That was the Venice Witch. Those were the second Reebok trainers. Let's move on to the next deck and the next set of trainers. Okay, so the next pair of trainers, or trainer, because I'm only going to hold up one, is this pair of trainers. These are still brand new. I think I probably bought them about 2.5 years ago. Excellent cushioning, love them, love the colour, love everything about them. They're ready to be worn because I am lazy and I don't want to tie my shoelaces. But I haven't worn them. It's such a waste. I'm not getting rid of them. They're still going to be staying in my wardrobe. But there's just other trainers that call to me, that want to be worn, that I've worn in, and they're cozy, comfy. And which deck reminds me of that pair of trainers? Well, that would be this one, the Journey Tarot. Superficially, for the colour palette, however, I've never used this deck. I purchased this one. It was a real bargain. I think it was under £17 on around Christmas time, and I purchased it as a birthday or Christmas present last year. I can't remember which one. Anyway, saw the majors, liked the majors. This is still in order because obviously I haven't used it. I love the modern vibe going on. Did I say I love the colour palette? I mean, that goes without saying. I think it's gorgeous. And then, but I hadn't seen the minors when I purchased the deck. And I'm not sure I was overly, you know, worried about seeing the minors because it was, you know, quite a price-worthy deck, I'm going to say, being like under £18, £17, something like that. Anyway, so I love this. This is quite cute. So let's just, and I love this as well, actually. So let's just move on to the minors. So here we go. And then when I hit the minors, I was like, oh. I mean, they are, you know, illustrated, but they are very, I'm going to say simple. They're simple minors. And I think that's possibly why I haven't used it. Look at this. I mean, this totally speaks to me of the trainers. Do you not think? Think of the colour palette. I mean, it's gorgeous. Yes, let's just move to the swords quickly. I mean, I do like them, but I just haven't got around to using it as yet. So there we have it. That would be my choice for those trainers that I also haven't used, because other trainers have been calling to me, and the comfy, cosy, squishy trainers, you know, I just want to wear those more. What can I say? So the next trainers, that would be these ones. Nike are my favourite make of trainer. These were on sale. They were exceptionally cheap, and I don't tend to purchase grey. Grey is like way down on my scale of colours I want to own, wear, or have in my living space. But the price, you know, caught me, and the cushioning on these is fantastic. So these are my like walking shoes if I'm going to go out, you know, and just go for I don't want to say a long distance walk, but when I've got, you know, an errand to run and I'm walking, these are the shoes that I wear because they are so comfy and the cushioning is fantastic. So which deck reminds me of those trainers? I'm going to say this one, the Sell and Raise Tarot. I love this deck, and this was a bit of an unexpected one. I love the artwork, and this is one of my favourite decks, I'm going to say. These are the backs. The colour palette is very reserved. It's quite calm. It's not so colourful. It's not in your face, vibrant. It's, you know, dare I say classy. I wouldn't say I'm a classy person, really. I do like me bright colours, you know. Not that I'm saying that loving bright colours means you're not classy. Wait, I'm going to dig myself out the hole. Give me a shovel. But no, this speaks to me of calm, not reserved as in like standoffish, but just, what's a better word for reserved? Let me flip some cards whilst I think. No, I'm not coming upon a super duper word, a descriptive word. Anywho, it doesn't matter. Either way, this is an amazing deck. I love it. It's a German deck. Did I say that? I don't think I did. I can never remember the name of this in English. I think it's called the Soul Journeys Tarot. Don't quote me on that. If I remember, I put the name on the screen for you. And I had an amazing experience with this when I first purchased it. And for that reason, and obviously, you know, I carried on using the deck, and it just became a favourite in my collection. I've paired this deck with the Monsoon Tarot previously. I've also paired it with the Field Tarot, and I've used the Field Tarot as an oracle because of the keywords. What was the other deck I paired with this one? Oh, of course, my the other French deck, which is called something like the Oracle of Soul Contract or something like that. I showed that in a recent video. But these are just so, the images are so calming. I think it is the colour palette. It makes me feel calm. It makes me feel seen. It's a supportive deck. The depictions make sense to me. I don't have to think about it. I don't tend to go to the guidebook very much, although the guidebook is really good. I really like it. So yeah, And I believe, I'm not 100% sure, don't quote me on that, there is a new deck coming out by the same illustrator, I think. If I remember, I should do some research and confirm it. And I think the tarot deck is called the Woman Tarot. I've got it on pre-order on Amazon, the German version of Amazon Germany, I suppose you would call it. Love this. So yeah, so it was, I loved the artwork when I first ordered it. Obviously, otherwise I wouldn't have ordered it into my collection, but I didn't expect to make such a connection with it and for it to be such a not a workhorse deck, but it is a workhorse deck. Such a strong, what's the word I'm looking for? Favourite? No, that wasn't the word I was looking for, but I'm going to go with favourite deck in my collection. This is one of my top decks, my top 10 decks, I reckon, of all time. Yeah, I would definitely say that. I love it. Should we move along? Let's move along. So the next trainers I'm going to be showing you, or the next sneakers, are these. Yeah, we're on a bit of a grey theme, although see that little hint of colour coming through. I love orange. I love me some orange. You'll notice that these ones are tied. Don't use these very often, hence the reason they're tied. I don't know why I don't use them. I can't tell you. Well, probably because I've got too many pairs, actually, to be quite frank. That's the reason I don't use them, if I'm going to be totally honest with myself. I don't want to be honest with myself, but that's probably the reason. And which decks remind me of those trainers? Well, that would be the Medieval Mischief Tarot, along with Tarot of the Abyss. Why? I'm going to answer that question right now. Okay, so we've got mass market Tarot of the Abyss, mass market Medieval Mischief Tarot. I've edged mine in black here. This is more like a black and a cream colour. I'm sure you've seen this deck a squillion times. And this is more black and white with these like beautiful duck egg blue. Duck egg? Is that a colour? Duck egg blue? I don't know. It sounded right in my brain. When I said it out loud, it sounded wrong. Totally wrong. Anyway, so this deck I haven't used very much. This deck I've used. It's not really my aesthetic, is it not? This is totally not my aesthetic because it's Medieval Mischief. This one's not my aesthetic because it's like, there's no colour in it. Obviously, there's no colour in this one. Let me start flipping some cards. Love this deck. Love this deck. Used this deck more than this one. And I couldn't put my finger on what it was about this one specifically that I wasn't, the reason I wasn't working with it. And so because I wasn't using it, I wondered if it's because it was black or cream and white, or cream and black, sorry. And I suddenly got this idea in my mind that maybe I should start adding some colour to the cards, which is what I did. So in relation to the trainers that I showed you, or the sneakers, they're obviously grey, quite boring, but they've got that splash of colour. And that's what I started doing with this deck. I started adding a splash of colour to the images, that splash of colour to kind of, add some inspiration to help me use the deck. I still haven't used the deck. I don't know what it is. It hasn't called to me yet. It will. One day this deck is going to call to me and I'm going to be willing, waiting, wanting, another word that begins with W, which I can't come upon. And we are going to be best friends and we're going to have some amazing readings together. And the end. So yeah. So I haven't coloured all the cards, as you can see, because I've shown you some cards that are still cream and white. Nope, cream and black. However, whenever I get the whenever I get the urge and I'm having some quiet time in front of Netflix, I pull out this deck, pull out my pens and colour the cards. Well, that was the Tarot of the Abyss. Then I started thinking about this deck, and I started thinking about doing the same with this one, except with a bit more of a vibrant palette colour. Palette. Just palette. I think that works just with the palette. Oh, lordy lord. I feel I need some coffee. And so that's the same as what I do with this deck. I just choose a random card, something that takes my fancy, and I add some colour. Have you never seen a pink dragon in your life? Where have you been? Do you live under a stone? I mean, come on. I love this. I love this pink tail. It's so great. So yeah, I do exactly the same, and I love this. You know, the naked king was so egotistical that he grabbed his cloak before being cast out of the tower. I love that. So yeah, so that's as far as I've gotten with this deck. But when I thought of those grey trainers with that little flash of colour, these two decks jumped into my mind. I think I've got 2 more pairs of trainers and 2 more decks. Let's get into it. Okay, so my next pair of trainers have seen better days. These were my absolute favourite trainers at one time. They were my gym trainers. I love the colours, obviously. They just, you know, they were just wonderful. So comfy. I used them at the gym for my classes, and then when the life went out of them to, you know, be jumping about in them, I used them to you know, walk about in, you know, outside, doing errands and things like that. So yes, so they started off in one lifetime and then took on a second lease of life when they were no longer good for the gym. Which deck reminds me of this deck? Let me grab it. That would be the Dreamkeeper's Tarot. Yeah, it's a bit of a strange choice, right? But it makes sense, and it's going to make sense to you when I explain, I promise. These are the backs. I've edged mine in silver. This deck started out as my shadow work deck. I think maybe like 2 years ago, something like that. I used it a lot for my shadow work. Really enjoyed it for shadow work. And then the Darkwood Tarot came into my life, which I'm so thankful for, last September. And this deck stopped being used for shadow work because I started using, or, you know, the Darkwood Tarot totally slotted itself into that position with my Inner Wolf and Inner Red Bonnet facet of self-work, shadow work that I do. And then it might have been January, maybe February of this year. I wanted a deck for my paternal ancestors. Now I'm going to say that I use this deck. Let's just grab this out of the way for a quick second. I use this deck, which is the Tarot of Mystical Moments, for my ancestors. I'm going to say my my maternal ancestors. And I have never worked with my paternal ancestors because I just haven't felt ready to. And so when I decided to work with my paternal ancestors, this deck jumped into my mind because it, you know, my maternal ancestors speak very strongly through this deck to me. And I suddenly just got the, intuitive hit that I needed to use this one for my paternal ancestors. So it started off in one life as my shadow work deck. And then it got a new lease of life by totally being dedicated to my paternal ancestors. And, you know, I could not imagine any other deck now that I would use for my paternal ancestors. It's just fantastic. So it might seem a bit strange, a bit of a strange choice for the trainers that I showed you, but this works. You know, it got that second chance. So yeah, so these two, I don't pair them. I don't do any readings with, you know, with both decks, but I don't know, they just work. It just works. I can't explain it. I'm just going to say it works for me, and that's the most important thing. So there we go. I think I've got 1 pair of trainers left and 1 deck. Should we get into it? I think we should. So my last trainers would be this pair, another Nike pair, which I love. I love Seen Up Yellow. No, wait, it's not called Seen Up. It's called Mustard Yellow. What a nincompoop. Sorry. And I love them. Look at this. They're fluffy inside. Oh, I love these. I use it, obviously, start wearing these when it starts getting a bit colder outside. You know, more of maybe the autumn. Yeah, because the colour reminds me of autumn as well. So which deck did I choose for this pair of trainers? The Sacred Sisterhood Tarot, of course, merely for the superficial fact that this deck reminds me of autumn. It does, it really does. I've edged mine in black Couldn't think of the colour then, that was a bit bizarre. Yeah, and unfortunately I haven't used this deck. It's been in my rotation, and I can't remember when it was in rotation, but whatever the other decks were in the same rotation, they called to me and they got used. So this one hasn't been used, but it's going nowhere. I really like the artwork, and I really want to use it this autumn. So I'm thinking, you know, October, November, maybe even September, but I still think it's going to be quite warm outside, which doesn't make me think of this deck. So, oh, hello. So I'm thinking, oh, hello, what's going on? So I'm thinking October, maybe? November, we shall see. But I actually really like this colour palette. And there's me harping on about colour. I like vibrant colours. I like colourful decks. But, you know, you've seen my contradictions video, right? Sometimes I like this kind of palette. This kind of colour palette. So yeah, there we have it. Those are my choices. That was my collection. I still don't think I have a collection. I just think, you know, it's a necessity. I need 25 pairs of trainers in my life. That's what I'm going to say about it. Thank you for spending some time with me. I'm going to wish you a lovely morning, afternoon or evening, wherever you are. Take care, and I really hope to see you in the next video. Toodaloo.